the other guy from Tapco, he contacted me and said, I got so much red tape with this new corporation, I'm not going to get the bid yet. He said, could you put it off a week? I said, I really can't. I had it advertised, so we'll have to wait and see. So I'm not sure where we're going now with this. Do we re-advertise for the third time, or do we wait till the spring? Because with the
uncertainty they're talking about, I mean, you can't bid that much more than NYMEX. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, just buy.
Yeah, we'd be better off buying spot next year if that comes down to that.
I had talked to the general manager of Countryside, and when I told him that we had a 24 cent, he said, that's actually good for a contract price. Because of that market volatility. They cannot even get anyone to give them future pricing locking.
Yeah, his thing said it could be anywhere from 20 cents over to $1 over. That's what it paid. I mean, $1 over a $2.50 gallon.
And even if you get a bid for the year, they're going to give you that much over. So you're, I mean, right at the moment, you're better off just we're buying it as we need it for next year. But that could change as supply changes. But right now, it's supposedly supply is good right at the moment. These prices are dropping yet.
Yeah, I reached out to the IU yesterday to see where they're at. So they just convened a meeting for Friday and talking about heating.
So right now, can you buy from anyone? Can you buy from Countryside or World?
Right now, we're locked in for this school year. We're locked in with Tapco. We awarded that bid last year.
And what's that price you're locked in
I
at?
think we're at 308. It run from 124 to 308.
So that's a good price. And that runs out when?
At the end of June.
June 30th. June 30th.
Yeah.
Right now, you can probably spot buy fuel oil.
That's what I was gonna say, we could probably spot buy, if we saw an opportunity, could we spot buy, or would that have to be?
We're locked into a minimum of 90,000 gallons.
Supply on the market. Just-
I meant, if we see a spot buy today, like let's say, as spring comes, seems it's coming early, it drops. Could we, how would we spot buy that fuel for purchase?
Can you store it for us in your tank?
Yeah, we'll stick with
Where do you store it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, or we would have to go through one of the big brokers to do so.
We haven't hit our 90,000 gallons.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But we typically go to anywhere between 90 and 110,000 every year.
So if
Oh, we
hit the 90, that would,
We can start another buy from
then you could source it from future.
Oh, you have to buy it for what you can currently store.
How much does this warm weather slow it down? Slow down.
You can't buy ahead of
Not as much as I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Seriously?
You order every week?
Pretty much.
That differential.
High school averages anywhere from 200 to 400 gallons.
You'd have to.
No matter what, 10 degrees or
I mean,
Store.
these warmer days are better. Our coldest days being 550 gallons. So that cold snap around December was, that was about 540 gallons.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can answer this question. I still buy from anywhere, or are you limited to where you can buy from?
And when we award the contract, part of the contract is we have to buy a minimum of 90,000 gallons.
No.
Bus.
Let's say if we don't have a contract with anybody, can you go to local places, or do you have to stay with the co-stars, or, I mean, who are you allowed to buy from, I guess?
You really could buy from anybody. If let's say at the end of this year, if we don't do a contract with anybody, we could spot buy. But you have to shop around.
If that's a free bid, right? Yeah.
For that
For that
load.
order, for that
For that
order,
load,
yes.
yeah.
And the local guys, this is just my theory, they're not interested in it because the money's in delivering small quantities for them. They don't have truck capacity to go all semi-loads and dump them at one stop. They won't make money on it.
Well, Worley's out of Hamburg does.
They do, yeah, I
They
think
can do tractor trailer loads.
Well, let's move on tonight.
Okay.
We got enough.
We're going for a marathon, so it's gonna be a marathon. Let's make it go. 2 days.
Those are just two scholarships that have come up. That they decided to open as a yearly scholarship.
All right, I'll move right into personnel, Mr. Palmer.
The first one's for the next meeting, is to approve the following resignation. Tanya Easter as a custodian at Bethel Elementary. B, I guess we're approving this tonight. I move that we approve the following employment: Olivia Hearn, part-time education paraprofessional at Fernville or Bethel Elementary, an hourly rate of $13.50, effective 2/8/23, pending paperwork.
Exit.
Any comment?
You gotta take one together.
Oh, okay. Caitlin Harmon as part-time cafeteria worker at Bethel Elementary, an hourly rate of $12.50, effective 1/23/23. Autumn Borkowski as a part-time library paraprofessional, an hourly rate of $13.50, effective 2/8/23. And David Heckard as a full-time custodian at Bethel Elementary, an hourly rate of $15.50, effective 2/8/23.
Exit.
Any comments? Roll call?
Feiler,
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Bath,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
Clock,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
C is supplemental contract for coaches for the next meeting. That's fall and winter coaches.
Are any of those new?
I don't, Mimi, do you know, Mimi?
I'm looking right now.
Okay.
I can't be 100%, but they all sound familiar to me, so I'm not thinking of it.
We can go, I'll find out.
Yeah.
And D is for this meeting, I move that we approve the following volunteers for the remainder of the 22-23 school year as listed.
Exit.
Any comments? Roll call?
Feiler,
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Bath,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
Clock,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Gonna move on to policy, Mr. Heck.
All right. The first reading with the intent to give second reading and final approval on March 21st, 2023 for the following policies as listed.
Any comments? All right, gonna move right on into the administrative reports. Gonna start just as they're listed, Mr. Heck.
I'll try to be very, very quick. We just wrapped up our data/mid-year meetings with all of our teachers. We have an opportunity during those meetings to focus on driving instruction, using that data that we've collected on driving instruction for student growth. We were using STAR and CDT data for those. We also focus on school climate and culture during those meetings. We sit down, we have a real conversation with the teacher, how the year's going, what we can do to help, and what we can do to support. So those meetings have gone extremely well. We are already in depth into scheduling process for next year, so students are meeting with counselors and getting information on classes they can take for next year. And big one coming up, we have the FFA breakfast February 24th at 7 a.m. And I would invite all the board members to come join us. We have a fantastic breakfast and it's always well received. Thank you.
Hello again. A few quick points I'd like to mention. The Pride Points Student of the Month for the junior high, Darren Setlock and Elijah Bixler both earned a substantial amount of points. We are seeing a gain in traction within that positive behavior support program, so we're very encouraged down at the junior high with that. The Teacher of the Month was Mrs. Hamrick as well, so that was chosen at random based upon the teachers giving out the Pride Points. This Friday, we have the junior high dance, and then later in the month on the 24th, the junior and senior high together are doing a nice skating trip at Body Zone that Friday evening. So I know a lot of kids are looking forward to that. Thank you.
So we just last week kicked off the Kids Heart Challenge with the American Heart Association. So I'll give a shout out to our school nurse, Heather Kirshner, who has organized the entire thing for our students. So over the next 2 weeks, students are raising money to support the American Heart Association, and then we're ending it with a culminating on our half-day stations for them to practice being kind and moving more with various stations to talk about heart health. It's also National School Counseling weeks, I just wanted to give a shout out to our school counselor, Molly Ruiz, who is new to the district this year, but she's doing an excellent job, and I think she's an absolute asset to our building and our students and staff.
So I want to highlight a couple things. I'd like to thank Matt for including me on the custodial interviews for our new nighttime custodian. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate him agreeing to bring in a large piece of turf and put it down in my cafeteria to put a picnic table on. The idea behind that is to give our lunch ladies and our lunch recess staff a little bit of clout with the kids, so they're able to pick at least 6 students from each lunch to go kind of have a picnic lunch at our picnic table. Kids love it. Our new Safe Schools officer, Mr. Kirshner, loves sitting there with the kids. I think he just likes his picture being taken. And he's there every other day. An exciting thing happening at both elementary schools is our partnership with the GoggleWorks. So at both elementary schools, we were able to highlight 15 students with our new art teachers' expertise that would benefit from just a little push in an after-school program, give them an opportunity to do some arts. That's starting this Friday for our K through 2 students, and then towards the end of the year, we're going to hit our 3 through 6 and nominate 30 more kids to take part in that after-school program. GoggleWorks is also going to send each of us a visiting artist over our lunch periods once a month. We can nominate kids from each lunch to come and eat and do a make and take project with one of our local artists.
Good evening. Tonight, Caitlin and I, we had another family training for extended school year. We provided an overview. We had 6 families participate. I know it's 6 families, it's not a lot, but it is really exciting for us to see that gaining traction from our first training. We didn't have any, and then we got 2, and now we're up to 6. So it is interesting and nice to see the community gaining their feedback for what they would like to see in the future. Really trying to bridge that gap between the school district and the community. So really neat to see. Also, I want to highlight one of our staff members again, Kristen Parsons. I talked about her at the beginning of the year. She is our life skills teacher at our junior senior high school. Kristen was in her classroom. We're actually the recipients of a mini grant. The grant was focused on building community in your classroom. So she worked with her students, came up with a proposal that they're going to do a garden in the spring for harvesting hope. So they came up with a proposal, submitted that. So they're recipients of $500 that will go towards that the students will work to plant and
Hello. Recently I've had the opportunity to spend a lot more time in some of the classrooms. There's been some behavior requests here and there, and I've had the opportunity to do some coaching, some modeling, some working directly with some of our students that are exhibiting these challenging behaviors. I just want to highlight on one classroom that I've gotten the opportunity to work with lately. Our elementary life skills classroom, the classroom teacher is Rebecca Deller. I just really wanted to point out the fact that she was so receptive to any feedback that I had, any feedback that any team was able to bring, and how quickly she was able to then train her staff, model the skills that I had modeled for her, and really just see her team work so collaboratively together. It was really a neat thing to see. One other thing I wanted to share with you, I've been working here a lot on building more of a system for our paraprofessionals and including some of those professional development. So with that being said, the IU just recently put out another opportunity for professional development for our paraprofessionals through their TAC team. So that has been a really neat training opportunity for them that I just recently pushed out for them. So, thank you.
So a lot of time and energy has been going into kind of the tail end of the presentation that you saw already, so I won't repeat that. But I did want to point out one thing. I was contacted several weeks ago by North Penn School District asking to come and see CKLA because they're considering CKLA. So I had them visit Penn Burnville. They were able to see Mrs. Schlegel's classroom, Mrs. Kramer's, and Mrs. Ravenhall. And I just want to be able to share that these 3 outside the district visitors as they were finishing up their visit. I was able to sit in classrooms with them except for their visit to third grade. They were so complimentary of the district. They couldn't get over the atmosphere coming into Penn Burnville, how positive it was. They talked a lot about the 3 teachers and their relationships with the kids and their ability to take CKLA and to get the kids what they needed, and more importantly about our students and their receptiveness and how hardworking they were. So those 3 outside perspectives, they were very, very effusive in their compliments. So I just wanted to be able to share that.
Hello, everybody. All right, I would just want to shine a little spotlight on Rachel Blackwell at the high school. She works really hard all week long, and this Saturday the basketball bingo, first bingo, was a huge event. It was the first time that they were doing this event. She went in on her own time to make sure that they had everything they needed. Everything went smoothly. She stopped in the beginning, came back at the end. And she just really takes so much pride in her kitchen. It's kind of like they're coming into her home. So she went out of her way to make sure that went off smoothly. As you saw, we were able to hire a staff member at Bethel in the kitchen. So now we're fully staffed at Bethel and Penn Burnville. Katie Hagen was working at Bethel last school year and left just due to some changes with her family and is coming back. So I'm super excited about that. We're left with the 2 open positions at the high school. And again, that's where Rachel leads, and her team has been doing a great job, even with the 2 open positions, just making it seamless for the students. Great meals, about 600 meals a day. If you look at breakfast and lunch each day. This Friday at the elementary schools, we're doing cartoons in the CAF. Something new I decided to try out. We're going to have some Bluey cartoons on TV. For those of you who have children, it's kind of a crowd pleaser. It's a great little cartoon. We're going to do popcorn. Next week, we're going to select the winners of the coloring contest. And I'm also happy to announce that we can finally officially announce that we were awarded a farm to school grant for the 3rd year running. Our grant this year is for all 3 buildings. It's for $15,000 to be spent on local food, and then as part of the grant, we agree to spend another $5,000 on local food. So in total, we're spending $20,000 on local foods. We already started, purchasing, starting at the end of the school year. We've had local watermelon, assorted produce. We have a local beef brisket that's going to be on the menu in March, along with a lot of other kind of different local items. Bill and I were making some plans for a local beef or a steak sandwich day in May. So there's a lot of great things on the horizon.
You manning the smoker? I don't think you want me manning the smoker.
Are you thinking the smoker?
There'll be smoke, but there won't be meat left.
Guess who's doing that? Rachel.
Going right along with Rachel, I just wanted to give Paul a shout out. He did building checks this weekend, and he actually checked in on the first bingo. Realized their pizza oven didn't have an outlet to plug in, so we actually helped them move that to where there was an outlet. Something we had to do, we just did it because he loves Tulpehocken. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Very well done. Going right along with the maintenance crew, yesterday and today, the Bethel gym lights got installed. So Kyle Dennis and I did that. I got to be a gopher for the guys, and I loved every minute of it. We had the mayor of Bethel stop in. He gave us a thumbs up today. What is his name? I'm struggling.
Cheap version.
No, I'm sorry. The student on the crutches.
Oh, Paul.
Paul stopped in, gave me a thumbs up, a big smile. So it was great to see, and well done. I also wanted to shout out to Sean. He had to go up and one-up me. Over the summer, we switched to a new web filter. I was struggling. I could not get. We allow YouTube for the students, and we just have a restricted mode. One of the features our old web filter had, we were able to approve YouTube videos and such that kids could watch that may have got flagged, but it could be okay to open. He one-upped me and figured out how to get YouTube that the teachers can actually approve videos. So when they find a video that's blocked, they can actually see it blocked right away and approve it for the students. So it was well done on his part. And I just wanted to give him a shout out for that. Thank you, everyone.
Very good. Anybody have any old ones?
Sure, buzz parking.
I was just-
Where are we at with that?
So, our issue with stormwater, we did engage with a parent in our district who has an engineering firm. He is currently working on a stormwater plan for us. And as soon as we have that in place, then we can move forward with presenting that, getting the clearance from the township. We have clearance from the county, and then we can start building as soon as that stormwater is in place that way.
Saturday morning, they're doing frame testing. Tulpehocken Township is actually letting us loan their backhoe, and actually, which like the horse over there is actually gonna help dig holes as well. So thank you, Tulpehocken Township, for that as well.
Anything else?
Are we locked in with a construction management firm on the new? We are.
Yes.
They've been a great help as well.
Yes,
Any new business? So I have something, I wanted to say it last time, and I didn't, that we were all together, and tonight, I know it's late, but tonight really showed me that we are headed in the right direction. And I thank Dr. Nesnick and now Dr. Quirk for building that. But the team that flanks this room, you're more than a team, you're becoming a family. It's very easy to see and watch you guys work together and collaborate. I've been in this district 35 years, started here in kindergarten, graduated here, and still am here. And I truly mean when I say this, this is the best we've ever had as a team. And I couldn't be more proud. You know, you guys showed us some dirty numbers, some ugly numbers tonight, but right away, we already had a plan. That plan started last year out of Bethel. It was exciting then, and then to see you guys build on it, and then actually working, I just want to say thank you from basically the bottom of my heart for what you guys are doing and working together, because that's something that we haven't had in a really long time, where we're sticking together and empowering one another. You know, you guys speak of these shout-outs, like that's amazing. Like hearing what your staff is doing, it's great. You guys are recognizing them, and it's very powerful. And to hear that, you know, another school district came in and said, oh wow, this is great, what do you guys, you know, you're so positive. Well, that's showing, and that's starting from you guys here, and that's gonna trickle all the way down to our students. And that's what we need to build our future. So thank you. Along with that, I heard a seminar here recently within the county, or presentation about branding, and I think we need to grow on our brand. As you guys are doing that, I really think we need to grow on our brand. You know, the shield, what we believe in, that mission statement, we need to empower that from the ground up and from the up back to the ground. So I task you all to keep doing that and trying that. Anyone else have anything?
I think part of that, I have the picture in my mind of the church warrior or whatever you're trying to build, that also
Yeah.
is incorporated.
Yes. Yep. Anything else? Calendar of events is listed there. Valentine's Day is upon us, and then hopefully a day off unless Andy sees some snow first. So.
Is there anything you need to do?
I'm going, yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I know, I'm going, yeah. Yeah, I'm going there. I'm saving it for last. Anything else? Is there anybody that wishes to address the board?
I do, please. A long night.
Please say your name.
Nadine Dove. I resigned as a paraprofessional as of today. I intend to keep it short. Mr. Palmer looks like he's ready for bed. Mrs. Dodge is spread out there. Watch the movie. Oh, yeah. As an ex-paraprofessional and working in junior high, I saw a lot of problems. A lot of IEPs not being followed, a lot of bullying amongst teachers, which is very sad, because as adults, we set an example, which is very important. Mr. Hamrick set a wonderful example. You yourself have. You chipping in, Mr. Hamrick, in the kitchen with Mrs. Bergman. All these things add up to bringing them to what we want them to be. I have a daughter that's 40. She started at kindergarten in Tulpehocken. I call you Rusty. Mr. Fox used to buy lemonade from him. Yeah, I've been around a long time. So on January 19th, I want to do this quick, I was called to a meeting, a 2:30 meeting, which I received an email that day, which I find very disrespectful. Why not a day prior? I had a cancel meeting. I was called to a meeting with Taylor Charles and Caitlin Bryce. I was told, because Mr., I'm going to leave his name out because you know him, his daughter was beat up at school, black eye, stump on her stomach, very upsetting to see. She received OSS, the other student did not. What happened to It Takes Two to Fight? Along with him, I was very upset. I was told by Mr. Lynch I overstepped my boundaries by talking to this man, stating I overstepped boundaries that we know we do not do. So I was reprimanded. Being in the public and knowing a lot of the people, teaching pre-K for many years at the church, you are hiring one of my students as a paraprofessional. She was just a little girl, sweet little girl, and here she is going to be a paraprofessional. I want protection for paraprofessionals because there is none. We are told on a Thursday we're going to Bethel on a Monday. That's the time given to us. Given one day to clean out my room. One day, you two gave me. One day.
Are you addressing us or are you addressing us?
I'm addressing all of you.
Okay, please.
Because I really feel to protect paraprofessionals, there should be a yearly contract. Yes, you can switch us. I agree to that. But you have to address problems within the school. I see no problems in senior high whatsoever. I am more than pleased with senior high. I have my grandchildren in senior high. But you have a problem in junior high and it has to be addressed. You have teachers bashing other teachers in the hallway, saying they need their license revoked, constantly being reporting to their union, being told, oh, you can't go to administration, you have to go to the union. I find it very unprofessional, and I think it needs to be addressed. I will attend more meetings to keep this one short. I really feel it's time to protect our professionals and to get a grip on junior high. We have emotional children. Some of you have straight A students. I never had that. I think it's wonderful if you do. But you have children coming into rooms in tears. You have children saying, I wanted to go talk to my emotional support teacher, and they are not allowed to. That is against the law, and it has to be addressed. You brought up about teachers leaving. We lost Mrs. Kramer, who the children love. We lost Hillary Malone, who the children love. You're taking groups of people from these children that they love and adore. They need people to talk to. Even if it's just 5 minutes to sit in the room with the paraprofessional, with the emotional support teacher, and then say, okay, we can talk about this, and you need to go to class, or go get your work and come back to class into a quiet area. That is not happening in junior high, and it upsets me. So when I was reprimanded, I saw an opportunity that I can come and speak for our school district. I believe every teacher before hired from Muhlenberg, wherever, should have the safety training. you had a teacher who did not have safety training. A little boy had a hold of her, pulling her down, and we are trained how to handle that. It came back on me that it was my fault. When I did what I learned in para-training. In para-training, we were taught to follow the teacher. I opened the door, went to the teacher. Do you need me? She said, no, call for help. And that was exactly what I did. So you need protection for paras, and you need to focus more on children with learning disabilities and emotional disabilities. Because you have a lot of them. And it's very sad, and it makes me want to cry for some of them. So I really like, I'm going to come to every meeting. I'm going to stop now so you can go home together. So I would really like this looked into. Thank you very much.
For your
Oh,
comments.
thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Roxanne Snyder. I am coming today, I know a lot of people too, I'm a proud graduate of Tulpehocken. My kids go here, we're very happy to be here. We've had the honor of playing multiple sports, my son in junior high, my daughter in high school, for many, many amazing coaches. And I wanted to just address some of the issues that are coming up with the junior high baseball team that I'm very concerned about. And I have talked to some other people here in the district as well, but the main concern is there is a parent who is very upset that he cannot attend practices and watch practices, and is not happy about the rules that the coaches sent out, which a lot of the rules that the coaches sent out were because of what the parents have expressed concerns about in the past with the coaches, and I believe that's why they sent out the rules. So my concern at this point is that I want to make sure that all the, I'm a little concerned because I think the coaches at this point have decided that they're not going to coach this year. I'm not 100% sure, but it was posted today on the website, and that's really disappointing because we have some absolutely amazing coaches who have done wonderful things with these kids. And I think it's a little disappointing that they feel like they cannot continue on because they're not getting the support that they need. So I just wanted to come and support them and hope that we're not going to let just one parent of one student kind of dictate the way the entire season goes, because there's a whole bunch of kids that are super excited to play and we're really excited. We're gearing up. It's like in 2 weeks. We're very excited, and now we're not even sure if we're going to be able to have a team or a coach or a season because parents aren't happy. As far as I'm concerned, or playing sports all through Tulpehocken my entire life. It's an extracurricular activity like a lot of other things, and if you're not happy with the rules or you don't like the coaches, then it's your choice whether you want to play or not play. And I feel like right now I just want to make sure that we are focusing on the well-being of all the kids on the team and not just one. And I also want to make sure that it's not sending a bad message to these kids that if you aren't happy, you can just argue and be loud and not follow rules, and that's still okay because you're going to get your way, because that's really not the message I think we should be sending to students or these young gentlemen going forward. So I just kind of wanted to make that known, and hopefully we can, I hope we're going to have a season since it's 2 weeks away, but I know a lot of the boys are super excited, and I just want to kind of throw that out there that we need to support the coaches as well, because I know that they get paid, but they spend a lot of hours, and it's a lot of volunteer time, and especially like on the junior high level, and well, on the high school level, they're there for our kids, and they're doing an absolutely amazing job. And I think that I just want to make sure that they're being supported as well, and that we're not just letting one angry parent come in and kind of derail an entire season for a whole bunch of kids without all the other parents getting input into that as well. Because I'm not sure that, I know because I talked to the coach, but I'm not 100% sure that a lot of other people were aware of what's going on, and a lot of the other parents are aware of what's going on, and I know that everyone's going to be very disappointed. So I just wanted to make that known. So thank you very much.
I want want to spin one thing back on what you said there. So, where you said about the kids leading by example and doing that, shouldn't our coaches do the same thing and kind of work through this instead of just walking away because they didn't get maybe, I don't know the backstory. I don't know the whole backstory. But you're saying that the coach wasn't happy with something, so he's not going to coach. What kind of example is that leading? You follow where I'm going with that?
Yeah, no, I follow. I mean, I don't know all the details either. I know that there's been a conversation going back and forth about these issues. So, like I said, I don't know. I'm not privy to all the details. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But I just do want to make sure that, I know that for some of us parents, we have been dealing with some of these issues for many, many years through Little League going up. And so we're at a point too where, we want to make sure that the coaches are being supported and that we can make sure that our young gentlemen have good examples. And so far, I have been so absolutely impressed with all of the coaches that my son has had. I cannot speak any more highly about all of them, from soccer to basketball to baseball, and how thrilled I am that he's had them. So I would be very upset to watch two amazing coaches walk away because of something that couldn't be remedied because of whatever is going on, especially with just a couple weeks left to go. So I don't know all the details, but I did want to just bring it to everybody's attention, maybe so that everybody can come to the table and sit down and discuss it, and we can come to a conclusion, because I really don't want to lose them, and I don't want the boys to miss out on a season, especially because this group's missed out because of COVID and everything else. They've missed out on years past. So I just want to make sure that the whole team gets an opportunity to move on and play. So.
And the only thing I'll comment on is, I agree with you. I mean, we're more than willing to engage in, and I think we've had conversations of how we can make things work. At the heart of the issue is that banning or not permitting an individual from attending a practice or being on property. Our practices are not closed. It's near impossible to enforce. When they're in the building, we can shut the buildings down and not have people in. When it's outside, we've never fully closed the campus, partially because, at the end of, during track season, we have individuals, we have parents, we have families that stand outside the fence and watch their kid. Or they come through the gate and they watch their kid. They're at a considerable distance and they maintain that. But if we move to a closed system, that ends that entire, and then it has to be policed. And that's part of our concern is, if you're a parent and you say, you know what, I'm gonna head up to the field, 20 minutes early, I'm gonna watch my son practice or my daughter practice, and I'm just gonna stand off the side. On a closed system, that can't take place. And that's where our concern is it can't be done. If it's a decision made to close practices, it's a district-wide decision. It can't be done at each sport level because, junior high doesn't allow it, but high school does. That's, I would think there's probably more people that would feel and say, why are they allowed to watch their children, but we are not. So we did work over the weekend and presented procedures that would permit the campus to be open, so to speak, with certain guidelines and regulations that if somebody were to attend, there has to be considerable distance, there's no interaction, you're there as a spectator, you're there to watch, you're not there to engage. Even your own child at that point, you're not engaging that individual, and if you choose not to abide by those rules, then you're no longer permitted to have that privilege. It's a privilege to be able to do that. We all echo, we all want to make sure that our kids are safe. We don't want just random people walking on our campus and interacting. So there are procedures that we have drafted and put in place to try to, navigate some of the concerns. But there's banning at one sport has ripple effects, and if we close across the board, my concern is, and one of the things I pose to athletic director and administration is, what about that parent that shows up to pick their child up 10 minutes early, sitting in their car, like on the tennis courts? You're sitting within 20 feet of that gate. What if you get out of your car and you just stand at your car? Does that make you a spectator? Like, how is that permitted? But standing 100 yards from a baseball field, not okay. So those are some of the challenges that we've had, and we agree with you. We don't, we're more than willing to work with the coaches and try to figure out how we make that happen, and work within a framework. But I agree. I don't, we're very concerned that we don't want opportunities missed by kids, and we're willing to engage and do what we need to do to get that season.
Yeah, and I do believe as well that saying a considerable distance could mean anything to anybody. So I think that most parents are pretty willing to be like, I'm going to stay in the parking lot. Like that, I know that my kid knows where I'm picking them up, so I just stay in my car in the parking lot. Whichever parking lot I want to sit at, my kid knows to come to me. And I think that, so to me, like even saying like that's where we need to be, even if it's at the tennis courts, which I realize are right there, but if you're going to stay in your car and stay in the parking lot, then fine. But I do know that there has been issues, and I know a lot of parents have addressed that with the coaches, and I do think that that's where the coaches were coming from. So I feel bad that the coaches have been put in the spot that they had been, because the parents went to them and said, we're concerned about this, and they tried to remedy it in the way that it has happened, and the season hasn't even started, and it's caused all this drama. Like, to be perfectly honest, this is like junior high drama. So, I don't know what the solutions are. I just know that I think that perhaps, and I know that this stinks, and I realize that this is probably never going to have to come up again, but perhaps for this situation, there needs to be very strict rules, and then maybe, again, a conversation with the coaches so that they don't feel like they have to walk away, and they don't feel that they weren't supported through this, which is why I think they felt the need to walk away. I don't know all the details, but I just wanted to come and speak on their behalf and on the other baseball parents' behalf as well, that, we are concerned as well, that there are safety issues, and obviously most of us, out of respect for the coaches and out of respect for everybody, we tell our kids where to meet us, and we don't want to interfere with that, because that's their bonding time, that's the coach's bonding time with the kids, and I entrust my kid with the coaches who have been school board approved and have their clearances and everything else. And when parents are just showing up at practices and we don't all know who they are, and are they allowed to be there, do they have their clearances, all these other issues, I think that could totally open up a giant can of worms with 500 parents now at the field every day, causing issues. So I just wanted to, for games we're all there to support the kids, but our practices, I think most parents respect that distance and respect that team bonding time.
So have you talked to other parents, and are they of the similar mindset that you are?
Yes. There's a lot of parents who are not thrilled with what happened. And again, we went to the coaches last year and brought up some of the concerns.
And thus the new rules.
And hence the new rules, and now hence the drama that has ensued because of it.
Can we get a copy of those rules that are passed out? Just so we know what's going on.
I go back to that enforcement, like Dr. Nesnick said. So let's just say hypothetically, we have a game going on down on the junior high, on the field hockey field, right down below. But we have practice going on in the stadium. So you have people sitting right outside the stadium. How do you enforce what they're there for? Because they're sitting on top of the bank, or standing on top of the bank, leaned against the fence, kind of watching both actions. How would you know what I mean? I don't know how it's feasible, just thinking about it. Plus, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer our schools and our grounds are war grounds. If person XYZ wants to come walk the track and there's not an event going on, we open our stadium for somebody to walk the track.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I know, and I appreciate that, but I usually think, I can't just walk into the school building and go watch basketball practice because it's in the building. So I think that there's where then you start to get those lines, I can't just attend any practice I want because there are certain rules when you walk into the buildings that aren't enforced outside. And again, I'm not saying that I think things need to necessarily be enforced, but what's going to happen when when parents then start coaching their kids from the sidelines? What's gonna happen when a kid can see their parents, so every 2 seconds they're looking at their parents to be like, did I do a good job? Like, that's a complete distraction to everybody and the whole team.
So I
And
think
again,
that has to be on a case by case then, not a general, I mean, and again,
Correct, yeah,
I don't know all the
correct.
backstory here, but.
Right, and again,
It needs to be more.
right, so.
I mean, I don't either, but as, you know, as a coach, that is their time to coach. So they should not have a parent helping the coach.
Exactly.
And an aunt calling out.
But that should be handled on a case
No,
by
that should
case.
be across the board.
No,
I don't
but
care
I'm
if you're
saying-
golf, basketball, whatever.
But if you get that parent that's coming to that event, it should be handled there. We shouldn't say,
Right.
nobody can come to anything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And just, you know.
Yeah,
If,
no, I
if,
just
you know,
was
if
thinking
dad's coming
more-
home from work and stops in, instead of driving 20
And you
minutes home,
watch.
20 minutes back,
Correct, we did
he
not
sits
do
there and
it.
watches
Yeah, you sit in your car and you watch.
and doesn't do anything,
Right.
well, that's one thing. But if dad gets out and goes, yo, Johnny, great hit, good job.
Yeah,
Right, and we fully support that.
and that's why we need to
That
see
is,
what the rules.
we agree 100% in the respects of, if you are going to, if you're going to stop and watch that sport or that practice, it absolutely should be, you're there to watch. You're not there to engage, you're not there to signal to your child, you're there to watch. So that when you get home or you get in the car and there's things that you want to talk about, fine, but we agree 100%. And that's, the difficulty with saying, so we put, the regulations that we put in place say considerable distance. I know there's a lot to interpret, but the problem is if we put a specific, the way our fields are laid out, Nev and I walked those fields to try to figure out where's the acceptable location. But we say to parents, listen, as long as you're on this field, you're fine. But practices tend to move around. They move to different fields. And so, to say to the parent, okay, you've got to be 100 feet at all times, it could very well be that, 100 yards, 100 feet moves you into less than 100 feet from now the baseball team. That's on the varsity field. That's where the difficulty has. And those are things that we've tried to navigate a little bit. But we fully do support this idea that, if you are coming to watch your kid, if you're coming, for an hour, or you're coming for 15 minutes, you're there to watch your child. That coaches cannot do their job if you're talking, and you're yelling, and you're at the fence. Let them do their job.
So instead of doing a distance, can't you just specifically say, there will be no engagement of any kind, no verbal, instead of, the distance thing, it's like you put it.
So the procedures we put in.
If you violate that, then you can't be there
Correct,
anymore.
and you can't be there.
But, and then I guess my question is, but who's gonna enforce that? Because if the coaches are saying, well, now you can't be here anymore,
So
then that can then turn into a
But that has to
whole
go to Bren and.
Yeah, and I don't
Right.
think it's the coach's responsibility. I think the coach has to report to the AD.
Yeah.
The AD
Yeah.
has to report to administration, and it goes up the chain of command. We have a safety and security officer
Yeah.
that is going to be bouncing around at our after-school events as well. I think it's just a chain of command.
Yeah, it just needs
Nobody
to be
needs to police it. It just needs to, obviously, the administration needs to police it, but it's not the coach's job to even engage. If it happens, they report. Brent does his job and reports, and there's a chain of command. It's like anything else.
So the procedures that we've drafted, and this was between Mr. Hamrick, Mr. Lynch, and Mr. Johnson and I, was at the outdoor practices. Indoor practices are closed, that's just a safety risk to let the buildings open. Outdoor practices, the 4 bullets was that parents or guardians remain at a considerable distance away from all practice areas. The parent or guardian does not interact with players or coaches during the practice. This includes the parent and guardian's player. For the safety of all individuals involved, players must be focused on the task assigned by the coach, as the individual actions could have an impact on all players and coaches. You must follow all protocols and procedures of the district while on property, so no smoking, no drinking, anything like that. Communication with coaches shall take place in accordance with procedures outlined by the coach at the start of the season or through the director of athletics. Failure to follow the above will result in the suspension of rights to attend outdoor practices for the remainder of the season. The lack of compliance even once will be enough to remove a parent or guardian permanently from school district property during practice sessions. So that was
this is what your coach is not in favor of them rules?
I don't know if he was even aware of those.
I don't believe that has made it to the code.
Okay.
If I was, Andy could confirm that, but
It did go to the codes. Mr. Johnson did present
just recently.
this morning,
Okay.
yesterday.
So,
Okay, so just.
Okay, so we might have the cart in front of the horse then.
I think we're probably a little bit that direction, yes.
So that's, we do echo the same concerns that you do, with any parent that comes in but the issue is, if there are parents or a parent that makes a disruption on our facility, cursing, drinking, anything of smoking, violations or anything like that, that stuff should make its way to the building administration. It should immediately make its way to me so that then we can process that. We do have a policy in place that says if you're loitering on school property, that we reserve the right to remove somebody for violations of policies, then we can do that. The difficulty comes in is when we hear, an individual has had issues with the past. And I get, my kids are involved in Little League, and I get, there's certain parents that, you do have concerns about, but it makes it very difficult if they're on Jefferson Township's Little League fields causing a disruption, or they're at Penn Township, or, for us to then go and say, well, based on your actions here, you're banned with us. Whereas the approach we've talked about is any parent needs to violate this procedure, and then the actions take place, if that makes sense.
Yes. I'm not sure that, as a parent of kids who play sports, I'm not sure that if I saw something, I was aware that I should take it, or where I should even take it to. So that's why we take it to the coaches. So I'm not sure, maybe that would be worthwhile letting all the parents know too. If you see something and if you're not happy with it, then this is the chain of command. So I'm not sure that we all know the chain of command either. We generally go to the coaches,
Well,
and then the coaches try
to
take care of the situation or whatever the case is.
I'm pretty confident our coaches know that chain of command.
Well, and their direct report would be Mr. Johnson.
Yes, that's what I mean, and that's where that chain of command
When
goes, yeah.
when this came up and I got a phone call about this, my initial thing was, I'm sure it'll come up, but make sure you talk to the athletic director, because that's your point of contact. And he had told me that he did. So that's why I brought it up to Andy just before the meeting. But I found out about it a couple days ago. So.
And if there is a parent that is a problem, shouldn't the athletic director or even Dr. Nesbitt just talk to them? Give them a call and say, hey, we had this report, this is what we've heard, this is what.
But if it's not coming up the chain of command to even get to them, they never knew there was a problem. I think that's where the disconnect is.
Gotcha.
This stuff happened maybe last season, and wasn't addressed. And now we're saying, oh, this, if it's a person, family, I don't know the specifics, is a problem, we don't want them here.
Right.
But we don't really have any grounds to go back a year.
Well, and again, I think that's what the coach was trying to address it with the new rules. I think that was part of where we were going, was we're gonna put new rules into place so that everybody's on the same page starting off the year. And then it's kind of gone to this big, hoopla and big ordeal, whereas the rest of us parents read the rules and went, yep, okay, that looks good, and we all signed it.
So you're saying it's a big deal with just one parent or several? Because you're saying that you're
There's one parent in particular that is causing a problem.
Okay,
Yes.
but all the other parents are signing along?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
this looks good, the rules look fine to us,
Okay.
we're good to go. So, I just want to make sure that, everybody's on the same page, because we don't want the kids to have to miss out on the season. We want the kids to have fun, and we don't want there to be distractions, and we don't want parents to be a distraction or to make it awkward or unusual or cause even bigger issues when the kids are like, who is that, why are they here? We train our kids to go stranger danger. So when somebody's sitting on a hill and people are like, why is this guy watching us? because that did come up last year, like, why is this weird that, like, they didn't know. And then it just turned into, right, why is somebody watching this?
So is this junior high level?
Junior, yeah.
I go back to that open grounds thing, you know, I've already seen people walking the cross-country track, which would encompass the whole property. You know, how do we,
Well, I mean, I went and watched my kids for practice because I was done work early and I'm not going all the way home and I'll just sit and watch them in my car, you know, and then when they get in the car, then I might talk about what I saw, but.
I think we have expectations of our students and our athletes, and we should have similar expectations of parents.
Yeah.
And my personal belief is that from what I've heard, this rule and whatnot, that's been addressed. And my thing would be that the moment this person or any person violates this, that it's addressed accordingly. You know, it'd be no different than somebody using the track and they're out there puffing cigarettes. Somebody should go out and address it. You know, it's a violation of our policy. We don't expect that from our parents. You know, and we ought to resort back to the example that we're trying to set, you know, across the board, so.
I think the rules that were outlined there are pretty
Yeah.
cut and dry. The expectations are very clear, and if somebody violates that rule, it gets addressed, and they may not be unhappy, but
So maybe the coaches need to be reassured so that maybe we won't lose them, so that we can start the season on time. I mean, I don't know. That, you know, it will go straight to command and it will be addressed maybe on the day of, whatever happens.
the bullet points that he read out on there are pretty, they are very clear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? I did take a deep breath. Let's show you.
We got 20 minutes.
Yeah, that 5-minute thing didn't work out so good.
You're right. We will be having an executive session for personnel meetings. We have personnel matters afterwards. I'm going to try and get to 12:01, that way we have a 2-day meeting. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, give consent by saying aye. Aye.